All right, so we're all set. So hello, everybody, and thanks for coming on this lovely Michigan winter day to our online MiALA ERM interest group meeting. Today, Amy Pfeiffer is she's the Director of Acquisitions and Metadata Services at Central Michigan. I had to read that. Is going to talk to us about ERM staffing and workflows. And I'm going to hand it over to her and let her get started. If you don't have a question or anything, if you could mute yourselves, that would be great. Thanks. And go ahead, Amy.
Okay, well, welcome and thanks for asking me, or I guess I volunteered, but I just wanted to share what we do at CMU because I feel like we do a lot with a little. We have a small staff, and so I like to just share how we work together to get it done. I can't take the credit for the slide design. We have a really awesome graphic designer. So I just want to talk a little bit about the AMS's acquisitions and metadata services, what our staff looks like, and sort of just some background of who we are. We have 5 full-time staff in our department, 2 professional administrative, 1, I guess, professional librarian. Number 2 is in training. She's going to library school. We have 2 in the ST union, which is a supervisory technical position, and then 1 office professional. And then a 5th person, which this just happened January 1st. One of our STs is 80% staff. So they reduced her position a little bit. Mostly as a reflection of budget cuts, which I mentioned later. We typically just have 2 student assistants, 1 for serials and 1 for acquisitions. We are at Alma Primo Library. We have been since July of 2017. And I thought maybe this would be of interest to you. These are our ACRL stats for the 1920 survey. E-journals, 146,000, ebooks, 899,000, and 272 databases as reported by definition on that. Our acquisitions budget for this fiscal year is about $3 million. And like I mentioned, last year we had a 25% cut for July 1 of 21, which was about $1 million. So basically 3 of the 5 of us share responsibilities for electronic resources. Myself, our metadata manager, and our serials coordinator. I'll first talk about what I oversee. I do the license negotiations, and I can sign up to a threshold of 50,000, I believe. And if it's higher than that, then I send it over to purchasing to be signed. But typically, I do all the negotiating before I even send it over there. I order and renew databases or collections. I'm curious, well, I know Grand Valley is moving to Folio, right? And then, so I know Western's on, I don't even know who's all on here. We can talk about this later. I'm just curious as how many Alma libraries and how many other. So some of this, I try not to use lingo, but hopefully it's easy enough to understand. But I do the ordering and renewing of all of our databases and collections. I set up the trials. We have a collection development assistant that manages the surveys for the trials and keeps track of the details of it. I update the proxy just by contacting OCLC because we have hosted Easy Proxy. I work to fix collections if they're, if we get a report of error messages or whatever. Ex Libris changes things a lot, and so you may come across an inactive collection or something. So I manage all of that. We have task lists that we have to work through as well. If you're not familiar with ALMA, ALMA is exception based. So a lot of things run automatically, and then you fix the problems that it encounters along the way. So these are some of the things that I work on. I also manage the Central Discovery Index, which is what tells Primo what the full text and the metadata to search. Our metadata manager, she is the other professional administrative staff member. She, upon my approval, she activates and loads records for new collections. She manages around 100 import profiles that we have for the different collections. For non-ALMA libraries, I'll talk about the community zone. It's Ex Libris maintains bibliographic records for, I'll say the more popular collections. And so you just activate the collection in the community zone and they'll manage, add, take away titles as they're updated by the publishers. So we try to use as many community zone collections as we can. But she monitors those import profiles and makes sure they're not broken and they're running okay. And then she also creates and maintains local collections. So if there's either not a community zone collection or we don't feel the bibliographic records for those community zone collections are adequate, we will use vendor records and create local collections. And so she manages all the FTP processes for those local collections if necessary. She is our primary troubleshoot person. So we have a departmental notification system that library staff can put in a notice that says this link isn't working or this coverage is not available. And she will troubleshoot that, submit cases to Ex Libris if needed, fix links, etc. So she manages that, and then I'm her backup on that. And then she also will update Easy Proxy as needed. And then our serials coordinator, she's one of she's our 80% ST. She manages the mostly eJournal access. So she works with our vendors, our serial vendors, to order and cancel titles as needed. Activation and deactivation of individual titles, updating coverages, making sure that titles are closed out or removed as needed, especially as you know this time of year after the huge budget cut we had. She's very busy right now. And then changes in publisher to make sure we have access with the new provider. So the workflow, orders come in through Alma. We use the purchase request system to get orders put in. The librarians can submit those orders or collection development. And the e-journals get assigned to our serials coordinator and databases get assigned to me. We place the orders with the appropriate vendors. I'll review and sign the license if it's not already in place. And then if it's a new license, we'll put the license information into Alma, into the licensing template. And then upon activation, we'll decide if that's a community collection or local. Verify coverages for journal titles. Attach the PO line to the either collection or portfolio level, which will make the connection for cost per use at the journal level. Alma Analytics doesn't make that connection for collections yet, but it's on the map. And then attach the license to the portfolios as well. I think, are people, let me check the chat. I haven't been, I'm not used to Zoom here. Saginaw Valley, Sierra. Aren't impressed with other products. Yeah, there's no perfect thing. Where do the metadata records come from, if not the vendors? From the community zone. Or from OCLC if we have to. We use WMS for several collections. So the provider lets OCLC know that we subscribe to this collection, and those records get collected at OCLC, and then they FTP automatically to Alma. Yes, DJ, thank you for explaining that. Where do records in the community zone come from? That's a good question. I don't really know how Ex Libris acquires them. Obviously not from OCLC. Some are vendor provided directly to Alma, others are from, yes, thank you again. Some are contributed by customers. Ex Libris gets the bib records from the vendors, except for Gale for some reason. Okay. Let's see. Once a collection or portfolios are activated, the Alma will notify interested users if there are such in the order. So that's a nice feature as well. Invoices are processed by our budget specialist, which is a staff member that I didn't mention as part of the ERM process, but she takes care of those within our department. We're doing a retrospective license project to add those to Alma and get those connected to the resources. It's by no means perfect, but I think it does a lot of things that we used to have to do. We spent too much time doing in Sierra. And so it's easy to forget how convenient that automation is. And we're still tweaking, still adding fields as we get time. There's lots of options. Probably fluff, I guess you could say, you know, things that aren't real necessary for the user to be able to get to where they need to go. But things that would be nice if we had time to do it. That's all I have. Like I said, it's not anything that any of you probably don't already know, but if you have questions, I can answer. So for 3 staff people, I think we do a pretty good job of getting our users what they need.
Shit. Amy, sorry, I'm making noise.
Yeah.
This is Fran. And I was just wondering if you could talk a little more about what you know, in terms of the ALMA license information, like what are some of the different uses that you find for that? Because we haven't put that in yet. So
yeah, well, we thought, oh, this is going to be really great. People are going to want to be able to see this or that in the catalog, and I asked library staff, I said, okay, we're ready to do this. What do you want to know? What would you like to be able to see? And they're like, you know, it's been this long, we've never seen any of it. So I didn't really get any response to that question. Interlibrary Loan wants to know if they can lend it. That's pretty much it. Yeah. And then concurrent users limits, which ALMA has just recently implemented in the last few months, where that gets imported automatically, especially for ebooks. So if we purchase a 1-user book or unlimited user book, that now displays to the patrons. But we're just gonna add the basic information. Can ILL loan it? And you know, does it have user limits and those kinds of things? People didn't really care about the rest of it.
I have a question.
You can attach, I'm sorry, but you can attach a PDF copy of the license in ALMA, which people can pull up and see, which is really nice too. I'm sorry, go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, Amy, this is Jerry.
Hi, Jerry.
Hi, I was wondering, you know, you mentioned earlier that last year you had a budget reduction of 25%.
Yeah.
Was it for fiscal year 20 or fiscal year 21?
21. So those canceled titles are just now coming into effect, I guess you could say.
Okay, was that a result of the pandemic and the financial, you know? Okay, did you also lose staff?
Yeah.
So how many people like that worked on electronic resources did you lose, or did you lose any?
We lost 20% of the one position.
Okay.
With the budget cut.
Okay. How did
that's not true. That is not true. I'm sorry. We lost a full-time metadata specialist, but that position had been vacant since October. So we had already been dealing with, you know, without having that person for, you know, October of 2019. So it'd been over a year since we had that person in that position. So, yeah, so over the last 16 months, 18 months, we've lost one position plus 20%.
So I'm curious to know if you redistributed any of the work that person was doing amongst the people that were left, or did one person take that on? How did that go?
So the ST that now is 80%, she does some review of some of the error reports, not specifically related to electronic resources, but metadata management, I should say. We send our holdings to OCLC, so so that their holdings get updated automatically. And sometimes there's errors that come back from OCLC. The record coding isn't just right or whatever. So our ST does review those records when they come in once a week. But then the majority of what that metadata specialist did has been redistributed back to our metadata manager and then also to our acquisitions person.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about when you have to load records from OCLC or wherever you pull them, how does that process work?
You can, you know, you're on Sierra, Leanne?
We are right now. We're switching to Alma.
Okay. So in Sierra, you go to connection and you export a record from OCLC. You can do that with Alma, same thing. Mm-hmm. Or you can go from within Alma and search OCLC and bring it in that way. So you can do it either way. Or if you have batches, you can do batches through WMS. That's how we do it. You're muted, Leanne. I'm sorry, or I can't. I don't know how to,
sorry. Okay. So it's similar to what we do in Sierra then, and you could go and select a collection and download all of it. Okay.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah, our metadata manager, I was just reading Deja, is that how you say your name? I'm sorry. No, say it then.
I will say it. It's okay. It's Deja, like deja vu, but
Deja,
I'm not
okay.
yeah.
She said she's impressed with 100 import profiles. Well, I have a very zealous metadata manager. She just loves this stuff. So she has import profiles to update inventory, to delete inventory, and to add new records.
Yeah.
So, you know, because there's so few of us, we automate where we can, and we're still working on that. So Alma continues to add community zone collections. You know, it's a lot more robust than it was when we migrated in 2017. So right now we are reviewing our local collections to see if the community zone collections are up to our standards, which aren't super high. But the majority of our local collections are Gale. You know, we have, you know, some of those huge Gale collections, and the records that the community zone has for them are so minimal. We just continue to use the Gale records for those. Yeah. But
I've got another question. Do you think that, we just went through the RFP process, and so I have gotten everybody all jumbled in my mind as to what does what in which platform. But do you think loading or adding the information from licenses is something that a student might be able to do if you told them to pick out this piece of information and add it in, or no? There's a template, right, that they have?
Yes. Yeah, and it would be a template and you just fill in the blanks. I struggle with this because every license is different, and they say the same thing in 50 different ways. So if you have a student that can interpret that, I don't know why not. But yeah. I mean, jurisdiction, it doesn't always say jurisdiction. It'll say governing law, you know, that kind of, you know, if you have someone that's familiar with all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a steep learning curve for a student, but I'm just thinking, yeah, I don't know when I'll find the time to do all that.
Yeah, see, it's been, 4 years. I've done some of those things, but not, we'll work on it it's not a priority, in other words. The staff in the library didn't seem to feel like it was a big deal.
Yeah, we migrated in 2015, and licenses is something that we have yet to do as well. It's on our, wish list of projects that we would like to complete at some time, but there's so many other things happening that we've never done it. We've loaded a couple of them, but
like I have ProQuest done and EBSCO.
Yeah.
Springer, Elsevier, those kinds of things, but the other ones. Yeah. How many collections do you have activated in Alma? It's really complicated because Jerry's laughing. Because now, as of, I don't know, March, April, whenever they implemented the Central Discovery Index, it looks like you have more collections than you really have access to. So the collection is there, but it shows inactive. And there's not yet a filter when you do a search that tells you what's active, what's not active. So that's kind of annoying. So a collection can be active for search in the Discovery Index, but not active in Alma for access. So that gets a little bit complicated.
Some of them are like broken. Some of them are like broken up. Like we just canceled our Web of Science subscription, and we had to deactivate like 92 collections, one for each year of Web of Science. It was so horrible.
Yeah, it's never an easy answer.
No.
How do you handle usage statistics for eResources? We have a collection development assistant who, as of January 1st, reports to me in AMS. And she pulls statistics into Alma and does cost use reports in Alma Analytics. I think I mentioned that the cost per use statistics and collections don't connect yet in analytics. So she does those manually, but the eJournal numbers come in through analytics. Or you pull them through analytics. They come in through Alma, either Sushi or downloaded directly. Yeah, our jobs are extra fun. Are the collection breakdowns in Alma similar to collections available in OCLC WorldShare? I think so. It's been a few years since I worked in there, but yeah, I mean, it's like a A to Z list. You find Springer eJournals, and then you activate the titles within that. Or if you have an aggregator database, you just activate the whole thing, that kind of thing. Any other questions or anything?
Are you happy with the switch?
I wouldn't go back to Sierra.
Yeah.
There's way too many manual things. Yeah, Alma can be frustrating and it's complicated, but You know, like I said, there's so many things that are automated that we just don't have to do anymore. I mean, even 6 or 7 years ago, we cataloged every single journal title. We copy cataloged a record and, you know, added the URL. You know, you just click activate and that's all done for you. Yeah, there's no way we could go back. So, yes.
I have a question. I'm just trying to think about how I want to ask it still.
Yeah.
So you're in a similar boat, I think, to all of us, where your budget's getting cut and you're losing staff and stuff. Have you been put in a position yet where like you have to like cut some level of service and you're being told, no, you can't do that? But you're like, I don't have enough people to do that anymore. Like, you either got to give me the resource or let me not do it. If you've had to do that, have you found a successful way to tell them that they're being ridiculous?
No. There's a lot more proactive work we could do, but we don't. I'm not really answering your question yet, but I have a very understanding dean. She knows that we can't do what, you know, we can't do everything. We can't continue the level of service with, you know, this fewer and fewer and fewer people. But I am not afraid to say we're not doing that. And I can't give you a specific example right now. But, you know, I'll just say we can't do that, or we have to not do something else if that's a priority.
Yeah, I would say for us too, the dean and the library is generally understanding it's outside of the library, right? Like, hey, we want to cut your budget. Okay, fine, we're going to cancel these 25, 100 journals. Whoa. No, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Or, what else do you want me to do? Like,
Well, for the last, probably 10 years or so, we do an annual serials review, and our faculty knew they had to specifically cut 15% from every department. So they're very involved in what gets cut. The cross-department thing, that might be between health professions and the medical school, something like that, where you can't cut that kind of thing. But we really had no major pullbacks, except for the one faculty member who has to have the print New York Times, that kind of thing. And sorry, no, it's a pandemic. You're not getting the print New York Times.
I'm just curious about your print collection. Do you have many journals and newspapers left in print?
There's just under 300 titles we have, but they're all in our department. We moved them into our department, and we're 80% sure that we're just going to cancel them.
What do you mean you moved them into your department?
Like, they're not available to patrons.
Oh, okay.
We move them, behind closed doors, if you will. And we have had, I think, one DOD staff member come in and look for a journal issue. Other than that, nobody has paid any attention.
Wow.
Yeah, we canceled our newspaper subscriptions, what we had left. And Patrick, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Kara said that you guys canceled the majority of your print subscriptions.
Yeah, I don't have the number, but it's in the, 100, like maybe 100 titles, maybe 60.
Yeah.
I don't know, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I remember hearing her say that, and I was like, oh, well.
We still get those blasted newspapers. Ugh.
Did you replace everything with electronic, or you just zapped
the majority of what we have left in print is either not available in electronic, or the electronic is not, the perpetual access is not there. That's why we've kept the print for a lot of those things. So if we cancel them, we'll probably lose the online access or just lose access to it at a period. It depends on what we decide our cuts for 2022 will have to be. But that's one of the first things on the, that's gonna go, is our print. And we exited our Elsevier contract. We were in this would have been year 3 of 5. So we got out.
How are you going to replace the content? Like ILL type?
Yep. Yes.
Wow.
So we canceled the Freedom Collection, and I don't know how many titles, but about $150,000 worth of titles, which, could be 10 titles with Elsevier. It was more than 10, but. It worked out fine. The Elsevier package, getting out of that contract has been okay. I mean, they were very helpful. Jen was very helpful, and did what she could to keep our prices manageable. We'll see what the ramifications are for interlibrary loan in the coming months. But so many of their titles are available free after 12 months now anyway. Not just Elsevier, but everywhere. So we shall see how that goes. When we left, we 2017, we got out of Sage, Springer, and Wiley packages too, and we really didn't see any bump in interlibrary loan at that time. So we shall see. Couple chat questions. Kettering's canceling all their print and moving everything they can to online. Jennifer Holman says we got unsub. Yeah, we used unsub to help decide what titles to cancel with Elsevier. And we'll probably do it again, because we were sort of in a hurry, because it was a last minute decision to get out of the Elsevier contract. So we just chopped off the top down to what we needed to meet our goal for our budget reduction. So we'll probably review what we have left with unsub for Elsevier and see. And now they have Wiley and Springer, I believe, that they can analyze too. So we'll see how that goes in the next few months.
I'd be curious to hear how that goes, as far as whether the unsub was that subscription was worth it. It's so limited right now with so few vendors.
Yeah, well, to consider our, huge Elsevier budget, $1,000 at the time, we thought it was worth a try. Yeah. There's lots of factors in unsub. But even just them letting us know what's available, open access, was really helpful without having to look up every single title. They just had, you know, it's all there. So I think Unsub is changing their pricing structure. So, but at the time for us, it was, I think it was $1,000 for a year. Do you use default settings, or did you make adjustments before making decisions on which journals to pick up individually? Default settings and Unsub. I didn't do it myself. So I think we did adjust the ILL article fee a little bit. Yeah, MCLS had a deal for 21. Okay.
Patrick, I was wondering if, can you tell us how Folio's going?
Yeah. Let's see. EDS for us went live on the 5th. That's not true. Well, it is true. It went live on the 5th, but everything else at the library was broken on the 5th, so nothing really worked on the 5th. There was the servers where all of our web stuff is stored to make the pages usable and look nice. Went down. There was a power outage in Grand Rapids, and so there was already like scheduled maintenance that was supposed to take place for like a few hours, but then the power outage was from like 7 a.m. to like 4:30 downtown, and so they didn't end up doing it until the next day. So it was a whole mess. So we really went live on like January 6th. It went relatively smoothly. It would be really great if vendors could agree on like what to call a journal package, so you could just map things really easy. So we've been tracking down all the things that are not turned on that need to be or shouldn't be. And that'll probably be a process until we can have some time to maybe sit down and try and audit, you know, one at a time or something. But so that's been a challenge. EDS and Summon, they're different from each other, you know, so there's been a little bit of adjustments there, but overall it's been good. Classes just started today though, so we'll really see how things are going probably next Monday or Tuesday when people start having to work on assignments and they all run into the different search interface. So that's the search side of things. Folio is moving slowly at this point. We had the break for the holiday and then like a meeting, and then we had to miss a meeting, and then now it's then EBSCO was closed on MLK Day, so we didn't meet yesterday. So things are just kind of not doing anything at the moment. We did get our first data load in. Things look pretty good. Susan, our metadata specialist, is poring over the records to see if anything didn't migrate like it should have. So there's that. I'm trying to think what else is going on. I think the next steps are getting like loan rules and notices set up so people can start to test things to see if things are working, and then you know, there's other decisions and things that need to be made around like are we migrating over like order records, and are we migrating over things like that, or are we just gonna start fresh and not do that? And then I think the goal is to start like training staff in like March on things, and then circulation might go live in like May, and then acquisitions will go live in July. So that's where things are. Right now, the focus has been mostly, I mean, especially for the last week, just EDS. I haven't even looked at Folio probably in a week, just answering people's questions. Only had 2 faculty members who were so confused by a different webpage that they had to write diatribes about how the library is the worst place in the world. And then by the end of the conversation, like, oh, you know, we love you guys. I'm like, yeah, you didn't. But things are going pretty good. Does anyone else have any questions for Amy or any other things going on? We have about 12 minutes. If not, we can always end early. All right, I'm going to say that no one has any additional questions. Amy, thank you very much for presenting. We appreciate it. Sure. Everyone, thanks for coming. And remember that Leanne and I are still looking for someone to chair next year, I think. So if you're interested, let us know. Have a wonderful afternoon, everybody.
You too. Good to see everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thanks, Amy.
Yep.